64 for 3. There did, though, follow a runnable 50 from Michael Clark, and that pushed Australia to a solid rather than spectacular 262 for 6. It was expected that Zimbabwe would struggle against pace, and that's exactly what happened. Early wickets from Lee, Tate and Johnson, reducing them to 96 for 6 and putting to an end any thoughts of a shock result. Zimbabwe were eventually bowled out for 171, Australia winning by 91 runs, their 24th consecutive World Cup win.
Much has changed since Australia's World Cup win of 4 years ago. Great players have retired and the selectors have appeared uncertain as to just how to replace them. But it is to be remembered, Australia are still the #1 ranked ODI side in the world. After this relatively light workout, this tournament gets serious for them next time out when they play New Zealand. Andy Richardson, AlJazeera, Ahmedabad.
So Australia off to a winning start. Their old rivals England are next in action at the World Cup, taking on the Netherlands in what's the second match in Pool B after India's win over Bangladesh on Saturday. Kevin Peterson's ready to continue in his new role as an opening batsman for England after scoring 66 in their warm-up victory against Pakistan in Bangladesh on Friday. A much-needed return to form for England, who were hammered 6-1 in their recent one-day series in Australia. The Netherlands, meanwhile, are one of the tournament outsiders, one of the 4 teams at the World Cup who've never played Test cricket, but they do have form against England, beating them at Lord's in the opening game of the 2009 2020 World Cup. And their captain, Peter Bowen, thinks they can pull off another upset.
We're going to go out there and give it our best game, and I think there's no doubt that we've got some really very talented cricketers, who I think will make an impact at this World Cup. And talented cricketers who I'm not sure have made such an impact or had the opportunity to make that impact yet.
A couple of football scores to round up. There was one match in Spain's La Liga where Real Sociedad beat Real Mallorca in a mid-table clash. Real Tamuda scored the only goal of the game, a result that takes Sociedad up to 8th place in the Spanish table. And in England, West Ham are heading through to the quarter-finals of the FA Cup after a comfortable 5-1 win against Championship side Burnley in their replay. 2 goals from Carlton Cole there at Upton Park. West Ham will now travel to Stoke City in the last 8. There's new coach at the Italian Serie A team Roma after the shock resignation of Claudio Ranieri. He's been replaced by the youth team coach Vincenzo Montella. Ranieri had been heavily criticised after his team lost a 3-0 lead at Genoa on Sunday, going down 4-3. But the resignation still came as a surprise. Montella, the former Italy striker who only retired from playing last summer, has been given the Roma manager's job until the end of the season. There's been a surprise on the first day of the Qatar Open tennis in Doha, with 7th seed Agnieszka Radwanska knocked out in the first round. Radwanska, at the top of the screen here, went down 7-6, 6-3 to her unseeded opponent Lucy Safarova of the Czech Republic. Finally, the 2 Greek athletes accused of faking a motorcycle accident to avoid a drugs test before the 2004 Olympics failed to show up in court today. The trial in Athens will go ahead without either Kostas Kanteris or Katerina Tanu, who have both now retired from the sport. Kanteris, the former Olympic men's 200 metres gold medalist, said he was out of the country for family reasons, while Tanu gave no reason for her absence. If convicted, the 2 sprinters could face a suspended 5-year jail sentence. And that's all the sport. Back to you.
Thanks very much. Well, just news coming out of Afghanistan, an explosion in the capital, Kabul, according to Reuters, in the area very close to NATO headquarters. That's from a police source as well. We'll try and bring you more on that as we get it. Of course, our top stories, of course, we're following events in Libya, but also a major earthquake in New Zealand, 6.3 on the Richter scale, 65 dead. We'll have the latest on Al Jazeera. Do stay with us.
Information travels in many ways. Knowledge passes in an instant.
If you want to communicate with those shaping the headlines, this is your chance to ask questions directly to the people making the news. Riz Khan, at this time on Al Jazeera.
Now, the main stories here on Al Jazeera.
From the world to your phone. Al Jazeera Mobile. It is in the details. A look. A connection. The moments that reveal the truth. Award-winning documentaries from critically acclaimed filmmakers. Witness documentaries to open your eyes. At this time on Al Jazeera.
Without context, words can lose their meaning. Al Jazeera's coverage of the Israeli-Palestinian divide makes a complicated story easier to understand. Al Jazeera, every angle, every side.
From local traders to international finance, it's commerce that makes the world go round. For global companies and developing markets, communication is the currency, and information is the most valuable commodity. Counting the cost at this time on Al Jazeera.
In a new series of one-hour documentaries, Al Jazeera English showcases films from across the Al Jazeera network.
Lebanon, a land with no common history. Listening to the views of students, an important lesson can be learned. How contradictions and inconsistency can cripple a country's development long after the end of the civil war.
Al Jazeera World at this time.
All the news, all the time. AlJazeera.net/English.
This is Al Jazeera.
Hi, welcome to the News Hour. I'm Zahil Rahman from Al Jazeera's News Centre here in Doha and in Kuala Lumpur. These are our top stories. At least 65 killed after a major earthquake hits New Zealand. I'm going nowhere. Muammar Gaddafi makes an appearance on Libyan television to tell the world he hasn't fled the country. Fighter jets have been bombarding the capital, with hundreds now feared dead across the country. And a long-awaited verdict in India. 31 people are convicted in connection with the 2002 Godhra train burning. Welcome to the News Hour. With a state of emergency in New Zealand, where a devastating earthquake has rocked the South Island. Dozens of people are dead and many more injured. The country's Prime Minister, John Key, has said, and we quote, "We may be witnessing New Zealand's darkest day." Well, for the very latest, let's go over to our Asian News Centre in Kuala Lumpur, and Divya has the latest. Divya.
That's right, Sohail. The country's Prime Minister has confirmed that at least 65 people are dead.